Hi, I'm Laura, the library lady, and I am going to go over the book Old Macdonald Had a Farm, and this was illustrated by Miss Pam Adams. Okay, so this is my third book I'm doing about nursery rhymes. The first one I did was There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Fly, lots of fun. And I just did the nursery rhyme, This Old Man. I know how to sing This Old Man, so I did. I don't know how to sing The Old Lady Who Swallowed a Fly. I wanted to also tell you that this book is also, This Old Man is also sold with CDs. So if you're not comfortable singing with your child, you can get the book with the CD. I think singing is great. But you can also check out YouTube and see if other people have put something online about these books. But nursery rhymes are so great. I recommend this book for children ages 2 to 5, but you can start before then if you need to. Great book. This was I used to sing this one too, so I don't need a book. This to sing Old Macdonald. I learned it without a book because it was a nursery rhyme. But it's great to have these things in print. This is a softboard book, I would call it, and it's classified as a board book with holes. It is meant to be touched by your child. Let's remember something about young children. They like to put things in their mouth, and I personally like sound effects, so hopefully that's okay with you. So they like to put things in their mouth. So let's talk about that and understand that you need to work with your child and watch your child, especially little children, will pop anything in their mouth. And the last thing you want, and we talked about this with the old lady book, is for your child to choke. So whatever you give your young child, make sure it's big enough not to fit in their mouths. Okay, because it's a natural thing, it's a developmental thing they're going through. I love this book. I love Pam Adams. As I said, she died in 2010. She was 91, and I think she's originally from Australia and worked in London. She was a graphic artist, so any of those people out there who love art, one thing I love about children's books is the artwork, and that's why children's books many times cost more, because just the printing of them is a different application. You have to do they don't put all these colors on the page at once. They put the dark, color by color, so it's layered. Like those of us who are old enough to remember transparencies and the old projectors, how our teachers would lay one transparency, then another when we were learning about maps or biology or something like that. Now we have whiteboards, so it's very different now, but the concept is the same. So let's just jump right into this book. It's lots of fun, and This Old Man. Now, when you open it, I don't understand the dragon part, but hey, everybody has their own version. I looked this up and did some research. I think this particular nursery rhyme appeared in the United States around 1937. A lot of these nursery rhymes are old, and there's not one person. Stories are passed down. So we often hear about the oral traditions of people from Africa. But people from Europe had oral stories as well. That's why we have the Brothers Grimm, those stories that were passed down to teach lessons and to teach morals to children. So here we go. Old Macdonald had a farm. And this is important because many, many children no longer live on farms. And in my area, all the farms are being taken up by new development. So we had a number of farms here when I first moved here, but now we don't. So what are farms and why are they important? So let's jump right in. Now, you can read this, but this is way too much fun to read. So be brave, break out that singing voice, and don't worry. Your child loves you. However you sing, they will love it, and it'll encourage them to sing. So you're going to have to, tolerate my singing. You can always mute me out if you hate my singing. Okay, so it goes, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had a dog, E-I-E-I-O, with a bow wow here and a bow wow there, here about, there about, everywhere a bow wow. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. I will stop there. So we got a couple of things going on here that if you've watched my videos, I want to say over and over again. So this is what your teacher goes through, your child's teacher, especially in kindergarten, first and second and third grade, because those are the key component years. If a child is reading on grade level by third grade, that child has a much higher percentage of doing well throughout their school career. But if a child is 1 or 2 years behind or below third grade level, they're going to have a harder and harder time catching up because their reading gets more and more complicated. And in The Old Woman and a Shoe, I forgot to point this out, in one line it said absurd, absurd. So there may be words that you need to stop and talk about. I'm a context clues kind of learner. I'm not good with phonics. So context clues means I can figure out what a word means by the other words around it. Phonics means you can sound out the words. I'm dyslexic, so a lot of sounds I don't hear, especially blended sound. A blended sound is like SH, shh. So the S is, and the H is, you put it together as SH, shh. And then you put SHR, like shoulder or other words. A little too much for me. That was very hard for me. So if you're reading with your young child and you see their problems or they're not getting it, don't panic. You can always seek out help from an expert or ask them a teacher or something. So never panic, because learning to read is very difficult. And young children, up until about the third or fourth grade, will turn their letters backwards. And that's what dyslexia is, turning things backwards and upside down, like lowercase b and lowercase p. P and B, they sound the same, they look the same, and to this day I have a hard time with those two letters. And then sometimes I just totally forget what it's for. I can look at a word and totally have no memory, or a word gets stuck in my head and I can't get it out. I can't get the sounds together. I know with me doing all this talking, that's hard for people to believe. And I used to be extremely shy as a child. I know that's very hard to believe with me doing all those videos, but with encouragement and love and the proper support, I overcame these. Dyslexia is a learning disability, and it doesn't go away. You just learn to cope with it. Okay, so one way of coping is having parents that work with the child. Your child, you know, as young children, it takes time to develop these skills. That's why you need to be patient and loving. So we have the farmers here dancing. We have bow wow. We have the pattern sequencing, and that's going to repeat on every page. So this is a book with holes, and I noticed something about this book. It says the dog. So the dog is here, and there's a hole there. Can you see my finger? But all the other animals that are there are not quite as visible. But you can stop and talk about what the children see. So some children are auditory learners, so that singing, E-I-E-I-O, that's important because they can hear the sounds. Your child, who if they're visual, they can see, and if they're textile, they can touch. So different children learn different ways. We all have our own modality of learning. I'm a person, I'm auditory. If I hear it and understand it, I've got it. So one of the things I wanted to point out about the E-I-E-I-O that's up here, one of the things that was very hard for me is understanding vowel sounds. E-I-O-U, I'm sorry, I'm not an English teacher, but there's 5 vowels, I think. And then some of the vowels are long and short. For me, learning how to read and understanding when a vowel sound was long or short was killer. Like there's an E, and then there's all these rules, and then there's rules that don't apply because the words come from different languages. So English is really a compilation, or a lot of words from a lot of different places. And we have all these rules, but there are always exceptions to the rules. And so if I say something wrong, please forgive me. I'm not an English teacher. I'm a librarian. But so what we want to make sure that we do is give our child options. So E-I-E-I-O, those are vowel sounds. And they don't need to necessarily need to know that at 2. But when they're in kindergarten through 3rd grade, those are key elements of learning how to read. Understanding your vowel sounds, and when they're short, when they're long. You know, like loose, L-O-O-S-E, and then there's lose, L-O-S-E. I mean, choose, chose. All those things will drive your child crazy. And for a child who may be dyslexic like I am, those things will drive that child nuts. Because to me, they all look the same, you know. So we have the dog here. We're going to turn the page. And we have that pattern. So this is the second and last page. I'm going to sing. Old Macdonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm he had some sheep, E-I-E-I-O, with a ba-ba here and a ba-ba there, here a ba, there a ba, everywhere a ba-ba. And then you say, you have a small text here, with a bow-wow here, bow-wow there, here a bow-wow, there a bow-wow, everywhere a bow-wow. Old Macdonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. So there's a font change here. So you're going to repeat what was on the first page. Well, that first page, those first 4 lines are almost exactly the same. And remember, for new readers, young children, it's good to repeat. Now we've got a hold here in the page because this is a board book with holes. Bow wow. Okay. Then you have one of the farmers with a bat or a plank and a dog, and ba ba. So there's also something else going on here. In the previous page, we can see that there's sheep. And sheep is plural, like deer is plural. You don't say sheeps. You don't say deers. You say sheep. So there's something that's implied here that you need to work with your child on is plural and singular. Our English language is constantly evolving, and that can be confusing for anyone. And you want to and even I say things that are not correct. Not because I don't care, or I'm not making excuses, but we're talking. You just have a slip of the tongue. And we have to forgive each other and correct each other in a way that's positive. So we have our sheep up here, and there's a hole for the sheep. So where the sheep were hidden, now they're fully visible. And we see the farmer's wife, or at least I'm assuming that's who it is. Here we have the farmer on their tractor over here, and then there's another person around here somewhere. Well, he's on this page. So as the book goes on, each type of animal is revealed. And what's so important here is that your children learn the sounds of what animals make. So if they hear that sound, they know that's a dog, a sheep, a horse. Now horses, you put an S to make that plural. Pig, pigs, you put an S on the end of that. So I'm in a high school, and I deal with a lot of kids who come from other countries. And one of the things they struggle with is capitalization, our verbs, because we have all these different tenses, and when to make something plural and possessive. So those are reading and writing skills. All those skills are needed to be successful in school because the children take all these standardized tests, and that's a part of them. So I'm not going to read any more of the book, but I am going to turn to this page where all these holes are with all the animal sounds. So that's something your children, you can play a game and you can say the sound and they can point to the animal. Or you can point to the animal and they can point to the sound. So you can play games that you make up on your own or with your child when it comes to this book. And you see the farmer's wife is really having a hard time. Can you see your girlfriend is panicked? All the animals are out. And on this back page, we have the farmer on his tractor. And I used to love cars, and I used to have a Jeep. So a tractor, and all the animals are making all their noises, and the farmer's like, ah! And then on the very back of the page, we have the animals here, which you can point to and have your children name. And then we have a gentleman in a Scottish outfit, in the kilt, and the bagpipe, and the hat, and you can talk about that if you so desire. So this is a great book. Enjoy it. Sing with your children. And hey, if you live on a farm, you can go outside, or you can, and I encourage all of you who have children when they're old enough to take them to a petting zoo to expose them. And if they have allergies or things like that, always talk to your doctor. And remember, you're the parent. You have to do things based on your child. And if you have more than one child, not all children learn the same way or going to behave the same way. Each child is their own person. And so, and this is good for parenting, teachers, and grandparents alike. So, this old man had a farm. Check it out. Thanks.